Alright, boils and ghouls. So, Scream 2, I don't know. So, people who don't know, it's been a long running gag on my channel. Then, people who know me that I hate Scream. Now, that's what goes around. I don't hate Scream. I just have a very strong dislike for it. The whole series. But the original's the best, obviously. There are some good things in there. I'm also not a big Wes Craven fan. He's not up there with my favorite horror directors. It's good. I just don't think he's a god like some people do. I like his 70s films better. I did a review on Scream 5, Scream 6, and the original. So just because I'm a completist, I have to finish it. So now I gotta suffer through this. This is so bad. This movie. Same with the third one. They're both awful. The fourth one I like a little bit. And there is a great cast in here. Not the idiots that I don't like from the first movie, like Courtney Cox and David Arquette. And yeah, I don't like any of those characters. Nev Campbell's fine. I really don't care for her either. I have no emotion invested into this franchise. So this is just kind of just gonna be making fun of this movie the whole time. So if you're a Scream fan, then, either take it or get stabbed. So let's talk Scream 2 from 1997, 1 year after the original Scream. So it just shows how much thought went into this script. So, like I always say with this franchise, I hate the look of the killer. The ghost face mask is so stupid looking. And Scary Movie didn't help it. Scary Movie ruined what was already bad films for me with this whole series. And took them down even more notches. We have the intro here with the annoying black girl with the awesome Omar Epps, right? Is who plays him. He's great. She's annoying as shit. I know that's supposed to be her character. I have a lot of issues just with this opening. They're going to see the movie Stab, right? So now, isn't this based off of the Woodsboro murders? This movie. So first of all, they're all dressed up like Ghostface, like they giving out masks and like fake knives and like all this type of shit. Wouldn't you not want to celebrate like being and looking like the killer of a movie that's based off like real murders? That seems very insensitive. And also, you have a whole theater dressed up like Ghostface like this. It's based again off a real actual incident where this exact mask was used. So people thought it was a good idea to send all these masks to a movie theater just in case some copycat crazy killer, that they have everything they need as soon as they get here. This whole film within a film thing is stupid to me. I like, what's her name? Is it Brenda in Scary Movie? But that's better than this scene. This is a serious movie, semi-serious, and I have to specify that all the time because this series always tries to take itself seriously, and it's ridiculously stupid in so many ways. And then its defense mechanism for that is just, oh, it's all the meta stuff, and no, it doesn't work for me. In the writing in this movie and the next one, I haven't seen these movies in 10 years maybe, so I don't even remember a lot, but the writing's terrible. And it's Kevin Williamson, so and then she just realizes that the actual Ghostface sits down next to her, she gets stabbed, and then she walks up onto the stage in front of the screen and collapses. Clever that the woman's name is Maureen, and that was Sidney's mom, Maureen Prescott. Clever. But she gets butchered and dies on stage, is my point. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it. Ghostface is not a fucking horror icon. It's an iconic costume, yeah. It's not an icon because 12 motherfuckers have worn this mask in this series. I can't stand when you go on Twitter or something, any social media, and you see pictures of horror icons, and there's Freddy and Jason and Michael and Pinhead and stuff, and then Ghostface is there. What do you mean? It's not a person. You have to be an actual character to be an icon. It's just a costume. So I'll never understand any of that, and it really bothers me. But yeah, brilliant plan by whoever put this whole publicity thing and marketing for this movie stab. Just send a whole bunch of masks and shit so that everybody looks the same, so a killer can just like blend right in and kill people. And the whole scene with Omar Epps in the bathroom stall, I can't watch without laughing hysterically and picturing a dick going through his ear from Scary Movie. So I mean, it takes everything away from that scene. I would be clapping too if this bitch got stabbed in the middle of a movie. It is one of my pet peeves for people that just don't stop talking during movies in a movie theater. I think it's so disrespectful, and it's so unfortunate every time it happens, and you just want to kill these people. So, I mean, kudos, for actually having an annoying character like this in a theater, and then having her get killed, and people start clapping and stuff. Like, that's great. Or do people clap? Or am I thinking a Scary Movie? See, I can't even differentiate them at this point, and that's another thing that just makes me not care for these. And while we're only 9 minutes into this video, let me just say, if you love these movies, just know I'm having fun. Like, I don't, it's not my thing, so I'm just having fun with it and pointing out stupid shit. I say it all the time, everyone loves different things, and if you love these movies, I am so happy for you. I can't be more honest. And no, they don't start clapping. That made me laugh a lot when that just happened, and it was very serious. That's what I mean. Scary Movie really ruined any type of tension or anything in these scenes. So Sidney's living with her new friend. I don't remember her name. I don't remember any of these people's names. Liev Schreiber is great in this. He's always great. And I do love Timothy Olyphant. I really love him. But I don't care for his whole thing in this. And a big issue I have with this movie is Mrs. Loomis is one of the killers. There is no way that this woman killed anybody. I just don't believe it. Maybe the black girl just now in the intro. But besides that, and I know people will say, oh, well, this is when this person was doing the killings because this person was there. That's great. I know things about a lot of stuff, too. I don't care. So just don't bother trying to convince me. In any universe, Mrs. Loomis would have been pummeled to death by some of the people that die in this movie. Jamie Kennedy is back as Randy, which... whatever. And what is with him? He's supposed to be this huge film buff, right? And they have the film theory class that he's in. And then he says two stupid things. They're talking about sequels when they're having the whole debate. Does, life imitate art or art imitate life? And life is just life and all that bullshit. And he says, what do you think they're making? Somebody's trying to make a real life sequel? And then they start talking sequels, and Randy says, by definition alone, they're inferior films. The definition of a sequel doesn't have anything to do with the quality of it, or what the fuck does that mean? Then I just recently saw Aliens 2, because I'm not a big sci-fi person, and some of you in my inner circle who know that I saw it know that I hated that movie. And I still remember this line. One of the people says the line from Aliens and says, "Get away from her, you bitch." That's the line. And then Randy says, I believe it's "Stay away from her, you bitch." What is this, film class, right? He's wrong. So, what is with his whole character? His whole character in the first movie is he's this huge film buff and everything. And he's just wrong in everything he says in this scene. We have Jerry O'Connell in here, who, he's alright in this. I like him in a lot of things. Piranha 3D, he's hysterical in. So he's fine. Courtney Cox, as I've said in the past, I do not like her, and I think she's a complete bitch in this movie. And the whole thing with Mrs. Loomis being the killer, was anybody surprised with this stupid ass reporter coming up to Gale throughout the whole movie. Wasn't the killer. Yeah, the twist is that it's Billy's mom. Like, you're not going to deduce that right away, maybe. But you know that this woman's the killer. And, like, Mickey, too, looks like a lunatic. This series has never been good with the reveals of the killer. It's obvious from as soon as they introduce the character. And it just takes away any type of, like, mystery. But Jerry O'Connell is good in this. This is what I meant earlier when I said, like, besides, like, the returning cast, like, we actually have some good actors and actresses in this. Sarah Michelle Gellar, I'd never cared for either. That's another big thing with this whole franchise. It's too pretty. It's all pretty boys and pretty girls, and it ruined horror, like, for years. Scream. Like, people want to say it saved it. You can think that all you want. For me, it absolutely ruined horror for like a good 5-6 years into like the early 2000s, mid 2000s. But that's for another conversation, another video. So there are good actors here, but they have small roles, and I feel like it just always feels like a cash grab. Every sequel in this franchise since the original. That just, alright, let's just get like adorable faces, and it's just a soap opera pretending to be a horror movie. And maybe you guys shouldn't watch this if you're Scream fans. I just passed 700 subs. Watch, I'm going to be fucking below it by the end of this. Then we get to see Doofus Dewey, another character I can't stand. And he's just like, he said he was looking for her, for Sidney. But he's just like walking by a tree real slow and weird like in the park. Like, I don't know what he was just doing, but apparently he's back and he's worried about Sidney. And yes, with all the sequel stuff in the film class, of course, the meta, and they're shitting on their own movie because it's a sequel. It's exhausting. Like, it really is. And it just keeps getting more exhausting with every installment to the point in 4 where it's a reboot or whatever they say it is, and then it's a requel, and then it's a franchise. I don't know how people don't find it exhaustingly stupid. But that's just me. Despite loving Liev Schreiber, like I said, the whole thing with Cotton throughout this movie and trying to make him seem like the killer, again, is dumb. Like, did anybody fall for that back in the day, or like when people watch it for the first time nowadays? Because I don't think anybody did. Then we have like this whole scene between Dewey and Gale and stuff in the book she wrote, and just, you could skip all of this and it wouldn't bother me in the slightest. And real overacting from Arquette, like all the mannerisms and his eyebrows going up and down. Like, I don't know what the hell that is. Did you know that this movie actually has 3 killers in it? That's right. We got that bitch, the crazy one, who plays the killer in Urban Legend in here. This is another thing that's incredibly dumb. And I'm probably just going to name this, like, don't watch if you're a Scream fan, like Scream 2 review or some shit. Through all these movies, after the original, now there's a movie out, Stab, about the original Woodsboro murders, like we've said. Everybody knows the voice. How do you not know the voice? So the fact that anyone picks up a phone and they hear that voice and doesn't immediately hang up is just beyond belief for me. It's too much to take in. That level of stupidity. It really is. Good to see Sarah Michelle Gellar in this sorority watching Nosferatu. I mean, I guess anybody could be into anything, but I just don't see her character watching Nosferatu the vampire. But nice to see it in here. Same thing applies for picking up a phone call after you've initially hung up on the creepy voice person. And picking up another phone call, like, let that shit ring. Let it go to voicemail. So there's a little bit of suspense in the scene with Cece. And it's been a while, right, since we had house phones that if you step outside the house, then the service starts cutting out and she has to go back inside. But again, she picks up the phone and then gets the jump scare from him, which is stupid. But then she gets stabbed and thrown off the roof. It's alright, guys. There's something going on at Sigma Veda, whatever the fuck it's called. There's cops everywhere. Come on, let's get down there. Woo! And they all run there. Just like the evil fucks in the first movie that just get the phone call and they run to the football field to see Henry Winkler like hanging from the goalpost. The logic that the characters in these movies use is just baffling to me. And it's most of the time, it's bad writing. It just comes down to terrible writing. And it's an issue I have with Williamson with almost everything. Except for a few things, most of you know what they are. But like in any normal person's mind, especially the people that know that this is like most likely a copycat of the original, wouldn't you want to stay the hell away from, like, where all the police is and some shit just went down? Like, I don't know, I don't get it. Not to mention the fact that Sidney wasn't placed in a real secure safe house from the second news got out that the murder happened at the stab showing at the very beginning. All of that's unbelievable, too. The police and everything in this series, they are the most incompetent police. Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. They just said that something went down at the sorority house, meaning Cece's death, and that cops are everywhere. Yet Sidney's able to just walk in there, and then Ghostface is still there. So the cops didn't sweep this place. They don't have it secured. They're not looking around for a killer. I think I might have figured out why the mystery of the killers and stuff never works for me, and for a lot of people I know, and that it's always so obvious from the beginning who the killers are. I think it's because, possibly, this is just a theory, during casting, they probably are looking for the people who could play crazy and play a crazy killer at the reveal at the end. So when you're looking at these actors, especially if they're actors you know, like Timothy Olyphant and stuff, like, he looks crazy, and he can play crazy. So he instantly just stands out as the killer. You see this in pretty much every movie in the entire franchise. I feel like Dewey's just like always on the case of chasing his own tail and like never really does anything to help anybody. Yeah, then we get the whole scene with Gail in the police department, and they have the names of the victims on the chalkboard. And she points out that one, Cece, your real name's Casey, and that says Casey, like Casey Becker in the first movie, Steven, her boyfriend, and Maureen Prescott. Right then and there, why not just take all the people at this university who have any of the names of the victims in the first movie, like in the actual events, in this universe, and just lock them in the gymnasium and shit, like they don't try at all to prevent like the majority of events in this movie, in this series, or anything. But now that I think about it, doesn't that never come up again? Like the whole names and stuff? So what the hell is that scene even about? Oh, the scene in the cafeteria with Jerry O'Connell, like singing and shit to Sidney. Oh, that's exhausting. Then Dewey and Randy are just talking about possible suspects, and they're suspecting each other, and it's whatever. The dialogue is just cringeworthy in this movie. Like, it really is. Like, at least the dialogue in the original, some of it's pretty good. This is just abysmal. Same with 3. 4 is a little better. 5 and 6, I think, are even a little better, and that's just because Jenna Ortega, I think, is the best thing to ever happen to this franchise. But this whole scene is just whatever. Gail's camera guy, smartest motherfucker in this movie. That's a rational human being. Right there. Saying, I should have read your book before I took the job, but now I'm reading it, like, woo! Great dialogue from him. And he's like, now, and he even says, I'm going to do what any logical, rational human being would do and get the fuck out of here. There's a point for you, Scream 2. Thanks for writing such a great character. The play scene, why would Sid ever do a play like this where there's a bunch of people wearing creepy masks, wouldn't that bring up like all the past trauma from the first incident like that she went through? And who would let her do this, especially now that they know that there's a killer on campus? Like, who's going to let her do this? And the fact, again, that she's not in the safe house by this point is insane. Are you kidding me? It is so unbelievable. But who's letting her go up there, especially when there's a bunch of masked people up there, and the killer could be up there. The writing is so... I don't even know the word for it. Let me also just make clear, I don't feel this dreadful about every film in this franchise. This and 3, I think, are the absolute low point of this entire franchise. So, I mean, these 2 and 3 are the abysmal sequels. 4 through 6, I think, actually are a little better. Alright, I'll give it another positive here. The chase sequence with Ghostface and Gale, with like the soundproofing and stuff in the music department, I think it is. Good. Pretty suspenseful until Dewey gets brutally stabbed and should be dead again. And that's what I like to call, what I commonly have to use in this video, stupid. The entire sequence with the car, with Ghostface and Sidney and her friend in the back seat, and it's alright. It's whatever at this point. Then we get the reveal, the first reveal, that it's Mickey, the killer. Shocking as hell. Let me tell you, even on a rewatch. Jerry O'Connell gets shot in the chest. He's hanging crucified. He's dead. And man, Sid must feel so guilty for even suspecting him of being the killer. Then they introduce Mrs. Loomis, and are you goddamn kidding me? She's been in town. She's been in a few scenes out in public and everything. Sidney never saw Mrs. Loomis throughout all the time that these events are taking place. That's absolutely insane. Then Mickey gets shot in the head, so he's dead, because remember the rules from the original? You gotta shoot him in the head, otherwise they'll come back. Then we get this whole long, drawn-out chase sequence with Mrs. Loomis and Sidney, when it should be resolved in 2 seconds with one drop kick. And then just overtaking her and slitting her throat or shooting her in the head or something. But we need a whole finale here. Then Cotton Weary shows up and he's the hero. And for some reason, Mrs. Loomis really thinks that he's gonna just let Sidney die so he can get an interview. I don't know why she would think that. She's just deranged at this point, I guess, right? They shoot her in the head. They go outside, police are everywhere, and Sid says, go talk to Cotton. Like, he's the one you want to interview. So he gets his interview. Everybody's happy, except for me, watching this. Scream 2, I didn't care for it, if that hasn't been abundantly clear. Expect Scream 3 in a long time from now. Wherever you're from, hope you're having a good morning, afternoon, or night. Hope this was entertaining, at least. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care, guys.